easy. So, yeah, I got a little workshop this afternoon. We get a lot of questions about the 12 powers, and I thought I'd try to simplify it a little bit. I'm going to start with some superhero jokes I found on the internet. See, this is all about our powers. So here's one of my favorites. A man applies to be a superhero as part of the X-Men. So Xavier, he's the guy that leads the X-Men. He asks him, "What is your superpower?" And the man says, "Hindsight." Xavier says, "That won't be of any use to us." And he goes, "Yeah, I see that now." Isn't that great? Where does Black Panther stay when he's in New York? At his Wakando. I know, they get worse. They really do. What happened when Iron Man teamed up with Silver Surfer? Iron Man and Silver Surfer. They became alloys. Oh, great. I know, that's great. That's good. Here's a philosophical one for you. If a nihilist were to become a superhero, would they wear a futility belt? Anyway, I want to be Aluminum Man. That way I can foil crime. But that's the last one, I promise. Big breath, everybody. There seems to be this enduring love affair with superheroes these days, even to the point of being burnt out on them. Amen? I mean, the Marvel Universe alone has 7,000 characters, and it seems their goal is to make a movie for each one of them, doesn't it? And every superhero, of course, has a unique power that he or she expresses in some way. Some have many powers, like Superman. You know, there's all kinds of stuff going on with him. Okay, I know Superman's DC, but the point's still made. And some superheroes have only one power. You got the Flash, you know, he just runs fast. And Storm, she can control the weather, you know, that's it. But then in most cases, these superpowers are caused by an event in their lives, a traumatic event that brought them out and manifested them. Like Barry Allen became the Flash when a lightning bolt hit his laboratory. Peter Parker, of course, Spider-Man, was bitten by a spider and he became Spider-Man. Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk, he was exposed to gamma rays. Superman draws his power from the yellow sun. Everybody has, a reason for their powers. And Wonder Woman, by the way, she's part of an Amazon tribe that's from Greek mythology. So Wonder Woman gets her power from the Greek gods. So I'm not sure, how that falls for you. But by the way, what do you call a superhero with bad direction? Wander Woman. See, that one didn't even make the first cut. I put it way down. And then there's a class of superheroes called mutants. Now, these guys are a little different because they are born with their power, and it manifests at puberty. So their powers lay within them, until activated. Some are born mutants, but most of them, they wait until puberty and then their power comes forth. And I think of puberty as spiritual maturity in this case. By the way, there's a really, really fun show on PBS. I think it's streaming on Hulu. It's called Extraordinary. And it's a British superhero comedy. It's set in a world where at the age of 18, everybody develops a superpower. The whole planet. Everybody's superheroes. They're all their powers are different. Some people can fly. Some can just go back in time 5 minutes. Some can clone themselves. Some can turn into a cat or something. They don't know what they're going to get when they turn 18. But everybody gets a superpower, except, of course, for the protagonist, Jen. Her superpower hasn't shown up yet. It hasn't been revealed. So the show revolves around Jen and her search for her special power. Why she doesn't have one, or does she? We'll find out in season 2. All right. And let me take. And this brings us to what I call the true superheroes. True superheroes are the ones with no powers. Okay, they face the same enemies as the ones with powers, but with only their human strength, courage, skill, and of course technology to aid them. That's Batman, Robin, Catwoman, the Batwoman, the whole Bat family. Iron Man, Green Arrow, Black Widow, Captain America, they don't have any superpowers, but they have developed to their full human potential. And that's how they fight crime. It makes them true superheroes. This quality makes them more relatable because their superpowers are derived from self-mastery. They've reached their full human potential, which is why I think Batman and Iron Man are kind of the most popular ones, because they're more relatable. You know, we can never be Superman, but we could learn to control one of those suits, flying around, you know, and be Tony Stark if I wanted to. Anyway, you probably did not expect this, did you? So all this to say that this idea of superheroes and untapped powers, accelerated abilities, heightened senses, physical attributes, they're kind of a new modern meme of humanity growing into its own potential as a race. So during the pandemic, and even now, we would have referred to our nurses, our doctors, firemen, even school teachers as superheroes. Because like their better-known counterparts, the amazing deeds they perform are not derived from some mutated power or gene or traumatic event, but by summoning the godlike powers within themselves. So I'm in a book study group, and we're studying Gary Zukav's new book. It's called Universal Human. And he presents this idea of humanity as a race reaching its next big leap in the evolution from a 5-sensory human beings species to a multi-sensory species. And he says the transformation from 5-sensory species into multi-sensory species is analogous to the transformation of the water-dwelling, water-breathing forms of life into the air-dwelling, land-dwelling, air-breathing forms of life. So that's a big leap that he's predicting in consciousness of the human race that's just around the corner. It's starting to manifest now. He goes on to say that these multisensory humans have learned to abandon the pursuit of external power and instead seek what he calls authentic power. And he describes that as when your personality and your soul line up. Okay? It's a power that requires us to go inside. It requires an inner journey from us. Now, all the great masters spoke of these dynamics of the human form that are invisible to the 5 senses. If anyone who's read the autobiography of the yogi can remember, and I remember this changing my life because I knew that this was not fictional. There's many accounts there of swamis doing what would appear to be superhuman acts, flooding the room with the scent of a lotus flower, bilocating, producing food from thin air, and miraculous healings like we read about in the New Testament, even appearing in physical form after death. All these have been documented within the last century. And this is happening now to all of human consciousness. Perceptions beyond the 5 senses are emerging among millions of humans. So Zukav says that the appearance of these new perceptions in our awareness is the great transformation of human consciousness that is now redefining our species. It's very exciting, isn't it? That we are headed in the right direction, and this isn't multisensory, these are multisensory humans. So, you know, we have the ability to move from 5 sense humans to multisensory humans. But you can feel it, can't you? There's been this shift in human consciousness, even as we go through these tumultuous times. The scales seem to be tipping as more and more people begin to choose peace over division. You know, they begin to choose being of service instead of servitude, putting other people in service for them. It's a change to our consciousness, okay, not a change in our consciousness. And he makes that differentiation, not just a change in what you experience, but a change in what you're able to experience. And think of our consciousness as a bowl of fruit, which you could take out the fruit and put bread in, or you can take out the bread and put soup in. And but what he's talking about is changing the bowl that we put those things in, and into while discovering new amazing things to put into the bowl, to put into our consciousness. So it's very, very exciting, and be looking for that around, and especially within yourself for that. This change that's enabling, and we have tools to help get us there. So this brings us by quiet and circuitous route to Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Now, for millennia, even now, this scripture has been interpreted from the viewpoint that this was a physical image that we were created in. Since no one had never really seen God, I guess ancient man was left with no choice but to come to the conclusion, oh, he must look like us. And this began the ubiquitous belief throughout Judeo-Christianity, even Islam, of a God that is a man, a God that is a being in human form, somewhere out there judging us and demanding our praise. Now, we did evolve a bit in the 70s. Unity started using the term Father, Mother, God to kind of balance it out. Maybe it was a nod to the feminist movement that was going on in the 70s. But that's where I came into Unity. And I had never heard the term Mother, Father, God, but I knew I was no longer in a Catholic church, that's for sure. So what Unity believes, and this is not a Unity teaching, but it's really more of a school of thought, is that we interpret Genesis 1:27 from the perspective that we were made in the spiritual image and likeness of God. CSL minister Scott Aubrey says, when the prophet said that we are made in the image and likeness of the divine, he wasn't referring to physical attributes. He was talking about our nature, our essence. We are made out of and charged with the substance of the creative power of the universe. Now, if we believe that, and if we take it to heart, and know that that's in there, that we're charged with the creative substance of the universe, then we can work with that. I can work with that. If I adopt it as a belief and I pursue, and I have a pursuit of bringing that out, the divine out of me, then yeah, that sounds good to me. So the next step was to ask this question. Okay, so what is the nature of God? What is this image and likeness that we're made from? So a New Thought theology, where Unity has its roots, God is not a personality separate from us, that bestows its attributes upon us. We see God as the very energy of life, the very substance that makes up all that we see and feel. In other words, God is not a being or a personality that gives us love. God is love. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore writes, in Jesus Christ Heals, God does not love anybody or anything. Breathe. God is the love in everybody and everything. God is love. Man becomes loving by permitting that which is God to find expression through him in word and action. And the same goes with the other attributes. God is not wise. God is wisdom. God is not alive. God is life itself. So we weren't made in the image and likeness of a being with those attributes. We were made in the image and likeness of those attributes. And this is where we arrive at Unity's most unique and powerful teachings. Charles Fillmore called it the 12 powers of man. And the 12 powers are the 12 fundamental aspects of our divine nature, which comprise the pattern of perfection within us, the pattern that Jesus exemplified. You might hear us talk about our inner divinity, or our Christ self, or our inner Christ consciousness, the divine within. And these are what he's talking about, the 12 fundamental aspects of our divine nature, which comprise the pattern for perfection within us. Of course, we all have that. But now spiritually, these powers exist in our mind as divine ideas. Symbolically, they are the 12 disciples of Jesus, and each power is assigned to a disciple, and for good reasons. And literally, there are 12 centers within our body where they live, which means they're in a place where we can focus on and activate them. So when your body is in true alignment and at maximum spiritual expression, this is like we're talking about Christed being, when all 12 powers are alive in you and consciously directed by you. And we believe that that was the example that Jesus gave us. And they become alive in you, this is the good part, simply through your increasing awareness of them. Doesn't take a lot of work. They just need to be noticed, fostered, and directed properly, because these powers work consciously and unconsciously, and we have to be just as careful to look out for how we're using them unconsciously as well. Charles Fillmore's book, The 12 Powers of Man, is a metaphysical look at these 12 expressions of divine power. Now, it was the first book of many books to follow about the 12 powers, since he's been around since the 40s. And, they kind of, people are like, oh, burned out on the 12 powers, what are these things? But I got excited when I read that Zukoff book that maybe these powers are a good precursor to becoming multisensory humans. And maybe we can tie that in somehow. So here, I'm going to give you more or less a short look at the 12 powers. So I know, don't you love my extreme PowerPoint skills? Are you guys able to read that? Okay. So we start with faith. That's the power, that's the ability to stand in your truth in the midst of challenging situations. Our power of strength, we use that when we need to persist or stay on course. If you feel yourself wanting to give up, we tap into our power of strength. There's the power of judgment, which we are referring to as wisdom a lot now, because judgment gets such a bad rap as a word these days. Judgment or wisdom, and that helps us discern the best course of action to take in any situation. We use our judgment and our wisdom to discern the best course of action. In other words, to judge not by appearances, but by righteous judgment. Love is what brings harmony to a tumultuous situation in your life. Love can also help you forgive and draws to you the things that you put your attention on. So we put our attention on the things we love, and the things we put our attention on are the things we're drawn to. Power, this is another one, the power of power from the Redundancy Department of Redundancy Department. Since power is also kind of gets a negative and a positive a tilt on it, they came up with the word dominion. And I love the word dominion because it's a little bigger and it's a little more specific about how we use that center of power within us. It's used for self-mastery and to call into manifestation that which you desire. And I say call into manifestation because your power center is your voice box, your throat, your larynx. So your power of power or dominion is triggered by your spoken word brought up into manifestation. Imagination, of course, helps you create solutions, new ideas for overwhelming problems. Your understanding helps you put what you know into practice. So we know a lot of stuff, but then putting it into practice, that takes understanding. Do you understand it? Will, this is the main will, it's the power of our choice. It's the power of our free will. And it is the power that directs all the other powers. Order, just the way it sounds, it brings balance and organization into any situation in your life. The power of zeal is your center for enthusiasm and passion around a project or belief. If you've been feeling kind of like, just unmotivated, we can focus on your power of zeal and bring that alive within you. And then there's release or renunciation. And this is a big one because it helps you let go of or deny the power of unwanted thoughts, erroneous beliefs in our life. And then finally, life. And the apostle for life is Judas. And you can use life to send healing energy throughout your body. Life is how we heal. Life is how we bring new life to a project or something that we're involved in. We use that energy of life. It's like our built-in batteries. So depending on where we are in consciousness, we use these faculties to create good or to create chaos in our life. For example, your imagination can be used to imagine the best possible outcome in a situation or to create new ideas. But imagination can always work against you if you use it to worry. When you imagine the worst situations, and that's when you worry, you're using your imagination from a lower consciousness. The same with your faculty of strength. With strength, you deny the power of fear over yourself. You stand firm in your truth. But you can also use fear to rule or subjugate. You can also use your power of strength to rule or subjugate others. Your faculty of judgment, you can use it to make sound decisions and discern right from wrong. But you can also use your power of judgment to discriminate and stereotype. Our faculty of faith, to expect the best. Our faculty of love, to attract us to our higher good. But we can also have faith in things that harm us. Or you can use your power of love to attract you harmful or codependent relationships. So you see these have no discernment as far as how they're used. It's kind of like gravity, doesn't care who it uses it on. Gravity doesn't care who falls from the building. And so you can use them, if you're using them unconsciously, you may be subconsciously loving something that's not good for you, and therefore you're attracting that to you. So when you see something in your life that's not right, we look at it, am I secretly loving this? Of course, that's the root of a lot of addictions as well, too. So, that was a quick, what they call a guided tour, and today at 1 or so, I'll be giving you a brief a very short description of each power. And then through a discernment process, we're going to choose one or two powers. You're going to choose one or two powers to focus on and work with on a specific issue or goal in your life. You may want to think about this if you're coming this afternoon. I want to experience more blank in my life. And that would be a good starting point from where we're going to be this afternoon. So I believe that, like I said, becoming familiar with these, they're really part of our DNA. And it's a direct path, I think, to becoming, awakening these 12 powers, a direct path to becoming multi-sensory human beings, as Gary Zukav refers to. So let's raise the vibe. This is about raising our vibe, right? We're raising our own vibe, and in the interim, we raise the vibe of the whole planet through our expression of the best version of ourselves we can be. And then we can imagine a whole race of superheroes. You know, the irony is that there would be no villains. Now let's prepare for meditation. Just get comfortable in your seats. Take a deep breath, and we're going to take that journey down to that center of our being where we were made in the image and likeness of the creator of the universe, the creator of all that we see. That creative power in God lives within us. The faith of God lives in me. The imagination of God lives in me. As we take our attention deeper and deeper into our heart space and breathe into that place, the love of God is within me. The intuition, the wisdom of God lives within me. The life, the zeal, the understanding, the order. These are expressed in their highest form through you when you bring them forth and apply them in your life. As we enter into a silent time, we try to connect with that inner divine, that Christ within us, and own it, make it ours. And we do that by giving thanks. We give thanks that we're made in the image and likeness of all of these attributes, that we were given these gifts to foster, to bring forth, to serve the world. For this we are very grateful, and we enter into just a couple minutes of a few moments of silence. In this moment, we are connected. We're connected by the omniscience, by our common DNA, to a force of life that is ubiquitous in us, through us, all around us, a part of us. And this common thread between us is what connects us. And together we rise in consciousness, the highest expressions of the divine within us that is possible. For this we give thanks. And we send our attention out to the universe with gratitude, knowing that it will come back to us 100-fold. And so it is. Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your before I sit down, I have something else to let you guys know. When Paula left as our minister a year and a half ago, I think there was evidently a pool going on as to how long I was going to remain here. And I hope everybody lost that pool, because the truth is I have no plans to leave here. I have no plans to leave this conference. I love it here, so does Paula, and there are many ways I still would like to serve. I plan to serve Unity of Renaissance. However, after over 10 years as music director, I'm ready to step down from that position. I'm both proud and humbled by the music program we've created. And I know our awesome music team will keep it going. But there are other opportunities in music and ministry that I'd like to pursue, and that will have me away on a lot of Sundays. So I think this is the right move for me now. When Paula retired, it was my goal to stay on as music director until we found a new minister. And now that we have, the board and I have agreed that my last Sunday will be July 7th. So we have a couple more months together, and I want to make the most of that. Fortunately, the eminently qualified Nick Hill has agreed to take over as music director of the music department. Thank you, Nick. And so the search is on to find a pianist or a keyboardist to fill that part of my job. So that'll be a little change, we'll see. So be clear, this is not goodbye, but simply a shift. I'm looking forward to serving Unity Renaissance and you all in the coming years in new ways and with new possibilities. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity to share what I love to share and support me to do what I love to do and to give my gifts with you. And so we'll be talking some more. Thank you.